Hey guys, this is part 2 of the dog playpen. Part 1, I would highly recommend you go ahead and see that first because they'll give you all of the hardware and tools I used and a lot of the information that I'm not going to be able to include in this video. And that's why I had to make a part 2 just to finish it off. So please, before you go ahead and view this video, if you have not seen part 1, see that first, then come back here and see the part 2. Okay? Now I'll go ahead and finish off this video. Okay guys, now this corner brace that I used to give it be more sturdy so it won't flex or move. I'll show you how you made that. Now you could just use scrap wood. Like I mentioned in the first video, this was actually measured by, the measurements are 10.5 inches long and 3.5 inches wide. And I would say that's probably about just a little over maybe a ½ inch thick. And what I use for that, oh, and like I mentioned in the first video, all this wood was free because I used pallet wood. And you could tell, there's some evidence of where the nails were in there previously. But I got this board, which is for like building sheds, and I found this shed place, the shed manufacturer nearby, and I was just looking for some scrap wood and stuff like that because I like building stuff, and they had these. I was like, I could probably use it for something. So what I did is I used my compound power miter saw and cut these right here on the line right here. So this was about the 3.5 inches wide this way, and I just cut it 10 inches. I mean, you could do whatever you want. You could make it 11 or shorter, but you just want to make sure that you have a long enough piece to go ahead and give stability to the corners. So that's up to you, And actually with the boards, if you could only find pallet wood that's not this long, then you can make them shorter. I mean, this is just an idea of how to put it together. You can make them longer, shorter. You can make it taller, shorter. I mean, not as long. So the length of this one is about 6 feet. So you can make them 3 feet, you can make 10 feet, whatever you want, which is really neat. It's a really neat idea. And this is movable. So you can move this around. You can move it, you could keep it at this area of one day or 1 week, a month, or whatever. And if you want to move it somewhere else, you might need some help carrying it because it's pretty heavy. And all you have to do is really right here where these little wires are. Now this is pretty thick. I think this is just a little over a 1/4 inch, but they make those tomato gates pretty thick. You don't want to get the real flimsy ones. I mean, it'll still work, but the thicker you get, the better. And I know they sell these type of, I guess they're called wire posts or something like that. I'm not sure, but they sell them too by themselves. But actually, you could go to some garage sales and they'll probably just sell them for like nothing, and you could just cut it up, and you have just one of them was enough to do this. Let me see, this is 6 panels, and I put 2 on each one. You could put more, you could put 3 or 4, but I just put 2 that connects the 2 hole slots on each panel on each side, and that worked fine. I mean, it was real sturdy, and you just bend them on the ends right there, yeah. So you bend them there, and then if you want to move it around, you just unbend it and then put it in a new location. Now how I did this one, I bent one side, and then I stuck the post through the, I'm gonna call it post, okay? I know it's probably wrong. You could leave a comment and tell me what it's actually called, but and then I put it through here, on each panel. I first went to the side and bent it and put it through there, and then I wanted this bent, so all I did is I just bent it first, and after is where I wanted it, where it was even, then I went on this side and bent it down, and that's it. This doesn't move. Our dog actually put his paws on there and everything and didn't get out at all. I mean, you could put the paws on there, but hey, this height was perfect. And like I said in the first video about the dig proof right there, extra mesh. Now you can use any kind of mesh, but I used a 1/2 inch. Now if you want to make this taller, I mean, you can, but this is really tall enough. And our dog was, let's see, 45 pounds, and German Shepherd, and let's see, yeah, it was a female, and she was really big, and this kept her in there, and it worked out great. So okay, so that's really the great part, is that it is not permanent. You don't have to dig a hole to set up this gate, and it's just movable. It's awesome. And like I said, you can make this as large as you want. You can make it a 10 panel, 8 panel, 20 panel, whatever you want. You can make it a 4 panel, whatever suits your needs and your area, your limited space, or you have tons of space. It'll work. And it's movable. So that's what's cool. It's not something like, oh gosh, you gotta take it all apart, get screws and unscrew this and undig the hole and take out the concrete. I've seen some other ones made like, and this one, it's really sturdy. You'll be so happy with this, and that's why I want to share it with you guys. I think a lot of people will really like this. So, and that's what it is. It's all around. I mean, that's all I use. Just parts of the tomato gate to make it. So I would put one. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's about 5 inches from the bottom, and I made it leveled. Now, a way to do this to make it even, what I use a template. So just give you an example. If you use a template, like you use one and you mark where you want it to be from here to here, and you know what, I'm gonna measure that right now for you guys. Okay guys, now this is exactly the same all the way around, and I wouldn't drill the hole until you're done making the panel. Now the panel from the top is 4.5 inches, and from the side to side it's 1 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so 4.5 from the top to the center of the hole, and then 1 3/4 of an inch from the center to the side. Now that's basing it on a 2x4, okay? And these are standard 2x4s, so you could use that measurements to when you put it together, okay? And let me see, hopefully I'm not missing anything else. Okay, and the hardware, you of course want to use one that's rust proof, that's meant for exterior if possible. I mean, if you want to do it on the cheap, you could, you know, just use what you have, which I did actually. I had this when I was putting a latch system on my shed, and I had an extra one, so that's what I used, and I believe that is exterior grade. And the hinge, same thing. I was going to use that for actually a cabinet I was working on. Now the mesh, like I said on the first video, these are 1/2 inch holes. I would do this because then also it protects it from like rodents or anything else, if you have any in your area, to getting in and messing with your dog or the dog food. I know they could probably climb up it, but make it a little bit more difficult, and like, you know, like rabbits and stuff like that. Because I've seen some other meshes that are a little bigger. I think they're, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like the ones that a lot of people use is, I think it's 2x4, 2 inches by 4 inches. It's kind of like a rectangle shape. And then some people use chicken wire. You can use chicken wire. You can use whatever you want to use. But the chicken wire, I think, is a little bit more flimsy. This one's actually pretty good. It's flexible, but she jumped on it and leans on it, and it kept its shape really well. So I think, you know, you can't go wrong with using this type, or whatever you want to find, whatever's cheap. If you find it on sale, go for it. As long as it's small enough to where the animal you want to put in here, keep them put in here, that should be fine. And I think that's basically it. I don't think I'm leaving anything else out. Yeah. Of course, I don't want to make a video or, you know, show you how to cut wood. I'm sure, you know, it's pretty straightforward. You know, just cut it with a saw or a skill saw or one of those compound miter saws. And of course, just make sure you make them straight. One thing I did do to keep keep it pretty, you know, straight so it's not like twisted or anything like that, is I used one of those angle rulers that, you know, you just put on a corner. I'm sorry I didn't have one to put in the video. You put, you know, you put on the corner. It's almost like a triangle shape to make sure that it's squared. You could use one of those, or if you have a flat concrete floor, you could do that. Just lay it on the floor, and you know it's going to be pretty straight. And then you start drilling the pilot holes, and then go ahead and screw in the screws. That's another way you could do it. Let's see. We'll go ahead and see what else I could think to tell you guys. Okay, there's one thing I definitely want to mention to you guys here, and actually that's something I didn't account for. I wanted to be as tight and snug as possible, but you want to leave at least a quarter, maybe even between a quarter and a half inch gap on both sides. The top you'll be fine, but I mean the top, of course you want to leave a gap so it opens and closes smoothly. But here you definitely want to make it no less than a quarter of an inch to, you could do half inch, you could do an inch if you want, but then you'll have a big old gap. But I would say, plus it'll be harder to put a latching system. But I would say definitely more than a quarter inch, because I made it really snug and it had a hard time opening up. And if you could see right here, I had to shave this down just a tad bit. You can kind of see, you can't really tell. It looks really actually turned out pretty good. But right here, I had to shave it down a little bit because it kept hitting the edge. You can see here it kind of hits there. So what I would suggest is make the gap a little bit bigger, and you won't have that problem. Because see, now it just closes pretty well. Yeah, see? It just scrapes a little bit, but it's really snug, which I wanted, and it latches pretty well. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. You have any other questions, comments? I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And please like, share, and subscribe. And we would love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on any of our videos. I know this is going to be easy build for you guys, and it'll be fun. And after you're done, I'm sure you'll be pleased with it and feel like you accomplished something rather than going buying one at a store and paying so much money for it. So hope you can find the wood cheap or free. That's even better. And be safe. And of course, if you plan to do this, you're doing it at your own risk. And I'm not held responsible for any damages or injuries. So take care, guys. Enjoy. Have fun. Bye.